that my doctor was saying, we need to take you to surgery. I don't want to be operated on. Ironically, I first started keto probably with Dr. Atkins. I was getting to a point fighting diabetes that my doctor was saying, we need to take you to surgery. You're just not losing the weight. We need to do something. And that was probably the fall before your course. And I started saying, well, I don't want to be operated on. So there I was rediscovering keto. And then as I got into more and more of your videos and watching more things, I bought a FloraCare and started tracking ketones way ahead of time, as it turns out. And then you introduced your class just in time for my 59th birthday. I said, I'm giving myself a birthday present.
There's no reversing surgery. There's a danger there. When you look at the pages that have kind of unfolded as you learned about keto, explain how the medicines got removed. Was that something you led? Did you lead your doctor? Yeah, how did that work?
Yeah, that was an interesting thing too. I thought I'd get resistance at every turn from him about removing them because I had had so many years. I was diagnosed diabetic in 2013. I was very insulin phobic as well. It's like, I don't want to start insulin injections either. And I did everything I could and started tracking my glucose at least, and had good results initially. I was on 4 meds because of the diet. My blood pressure readings were dropping. I had lost by then about 30 pounds. Blood pressure was down. Blood results came back with really significant changes. So he was on board. He said, whatever you're doing, keep it up. And by November, that was maintained and consistently held up. So metformin went away in November, this last November.
I tell the medical students that there are chapters written on how to start medications, but we don't get a lot of training on how to stop them because this doesn't happen very often. We're going to have a med for every problem they have at every stage of their life. And it doesn't necessarily help their quality, but it does make their numbers look better.
I had been already struggling so intensely to maintain weight and losing. So finally seeing that turn around and actually drop back down. The only other time I'd done that was 30 years before when I was doing I think there was an old BYU set point adjustment diet that came with a lot of exercise. And I lost about 37 pounds at my 30th birthday. Well, I'm about to turn 60. Being able to bend over and put on my socks.
The power of taking those little moments in life that as a physician, you get to see them, you get to hear them, you get to grieve that isn't something they can do anymore. And knowing that you can return some of those to their life becomes way more powerful than any, perfect protocol prescripted setup. Your physician was right to say, when we see success, grab that by the tail, don't let go, and encourage the patient, because that doesn't happen nearly enough in the maintenance of patients with chronic problems. So do you have a support group that you have?
Just the big group. It's now up to 2,000 mirror neurons. I have not joined one of the more intensive groups, and I miss that.
When patients get to a place where they have got to a stall, what keto continuum do you think you're on?
Keto Continuum 5 is definitely where I've been living at a minimum, but I've often 16-8, 16 or narrower, 20 and 4.
So looking at that keto continuum, have you ever done a 36-hour fast?
Absolutely. I've tried numerous times, but not in a real consistent, disciplined way. Yeah, I've gotten up to a couple of 48 or 50s, never quite to a 72.
That's okay. 48, that's beautiful. Don't just say that's a success. If you found rhythm with that you didn't die and it's like your mind can get around it, that's a win. And then watching to know that when you're at a keto continuum, that you don't have to, there's a gentle way to get to the next one. But I will tell you that one of the best ways to do that is to dial into a group. It does decrease the intimidation for joining a group. It lets you to sample, say, what's this group about? How does it work? And then what you put in your mind starts to change as you think, oh, could I do it that way? Could I just make this little change and stay there for a week? And that's how when a plateau is there, it means, okay, we've got the chemistry changed. He's got a lot of that inflammation out. Taking him to the next level is one minor change and stay for a week, another minor change and stay for a week. And that is in a support group, an accountability saying, how'd you do? And if you didn't do it, it's okay. We all have had that. There's something like spiritual that awakens in you that says, okay, I think I'm ready. I know I've tried this 3 times, but I really think I'm ready. If you want a baby to learn how to talk, the worst thing you can do is scream and holler and scold at them. Instead, you should encourage them. You should reward when they do something right, and then gently guide them in a direction if they're not on the right path. That encouragement wins every time.
I would go back and tell myself, stop thinking you have to do everything at every time. And before I know it, I'm 72-hour fasting every week when my body's not even close.
Commitment to really understand how their body works and to give them the rules for the next steps in a way that you don't have to take them today, but here's when you're ready. And this process is doable. It does not have to be, you don't swallow the whole mountain in one shovel. You really just continue to take one little step at a time before you will arrive at the next journey, and then the next one, and then the next one. Your journey of being on the precipice of a major change in how healthcare isn't reversible, that surgical intervention to get people's weight off, and then saying there's this chemistry set inside your body that you haven't tapped into in decades. And it's not going to be easy to awaken all of it at once, but here's some steps for the first little pocket of resources, and then we can expand your resources, and then we can get your body working for you to not just reverse those medications, but to get the rest of the weight off and to get you living the best season of your life as you reverse the weight and increase the energy. That human spirit is more than just a cellular mitochondria. There is this spirit that is alive in our bodies, and it has rules. And I think the rules are much easier to explain now that I've been at this for 20 years. But I think also that when you deny that component of there's a medical part of this that leads to the chemical part of this, and if you leave out the psychological and spiritual part, you're only going to get to this little tapped in resource. It is awakening your, that stoic behavior that, yes, there are hard things. We're not going to ask you to do the hard things first. We're going to get you stable. And then when you're stable and you're stalled, we're going to ask you to do one hard thing. And once you're stable at that hard thing, then it's going to feel easy. It's going to get better. And then we're going to ask you to do the next one hard thing. I think those bite-sized changes are how you take somebody who's on the edge of gastric bypass or whatever version they were going to offer you, and reverses them to get off their diabetes medicines, get off their cholesterol medicines and their blood pressure medicines. And we now have a path that will lead him to the best season of his life.
See how Bryan learned the steps that saved his life, and set yourself up for success on your keto lifestyle. Check out our course here.